So today we're going to talk about guitars. I've, like many millions of teenagers, half a century ago, when I played guitar. It was not that serious, but I used it to compose music. So I'm familiar with the instrument. But when I was 21 years old, I stopped playing the guitar for about almost half a century, and it was to take up another form of music altogether, which some people know me as a lifelong advocate and promoter of the genre of music called Azerbaijani Mugam, and perhaps some of you have seen some video clips of that. What I want to bring to your attention, which came to my attention and prompted me to make my own guitars for a very specific reason, is that the shape of the guitar body, in acoustical guitars, is of course an acoustic necessity. It's a big box, a kind of double chamber, as it was discovered that when you have two chambers that are connected to each other, that the resonance between them creates a big, rich sound. So the guitar was, derived from that concept, as was the cello and the violin. You have two larger chambers and a narrower passageway in between the two, and creates this great resonance. So for acoustic guitars, it's a must, that size and shape, a big box. When the electric guitar was invented, originally they simply put a little microphone inside or immediately in front of the sound hole of a big acoustic guitar. But later, as the technology for electromagnetic pickups evolved, the necessity for a large body of the guitar body was obviated. It's not necessary anymore, because it's all about the pickups and the strings, and the body itself. Although we hear quite a bit about these large hollow body electric guitars, or semi-hollow, have a different resonance from solid body electric guitars, and of course that's true to a very small extent. But once again, when it comes to modern electric guitars, the last 7-8 decades, they've invented this electrical pickup, electromagnetic pickup. It's basically the quality of the pickup, the materials, the windings, the way that they pot it and all that, and of course the quality of the strings, and to a certain extent the material that the strings are resting on. What happens underneath that is less and less relevant, unless of course you want to consider the resonance, which is known as feedback, that gets into the energy coming out of the instrument, going into the amplifier, into the air, back into the instrument. If it's a hollow body, it creates unpleasant feedback, and that's the reason why the solid body got invented, was to produce an instrument that you could play at high volume right in front of the amplifier, and basically little or no feedback unless you really intended it, put it right in front of it. So anyway, what I wanted to bring to your attention, which is this issue, which is we've got this electric guitar, and as far as the sound quality of it is concerned, all this material here, the presence of this, is completely unnecessary. It looks great, and I have to admit, when I see guitars, it's a wonderful aesthetic, but it's very uncomfortable to deal with this massive piece of equipment. The location of these knobs, now maybe a professional guitar player will get a laugh out of this one, but I've never been able to say, we've got 4 knobs here, 2 pickups, they got a tone knob and a volume knob, and 2 pickups, so there's 4 knobs, and the switch, which, it's one or the other, or in the middle it's blended. in the middle of playing, I do not remember which knob is the tone, which is the volume, which is the neck pickup, and which is the bridge pickup. You know, which knob goes. It's not intuitive at all for me. So that was one problem. The other problem again was the enormous size, bulk, and weight. And again, it's a beautiful instrument, but is it necessary, and is it worth the trouble that it creates? So that's when I felt, all right, let me, I'm an engineer, right? I'm tired. I've got time in my hands. So I thought, what do we need? What does an electric guitar need to be? And that's when you see how small this, but even this is slightly bigger than necessary. But again, it's much smaller. But essentially, you have everything you need, which is this is a full length guitar neck with 22 frets and normal tuners, nothing special here. They're good tuners. And the pickups, which are the same distance apart from each other, the bridge, and then the tailpiece, and then that's it. It ends there. So this little guy is a fraction of the weight and a fraction of the size of a traditional, the electric guitar with that huge body that is basically derivative of the architecture of a full-sized acoustical guitar, which needs to have that big box. So what I did was I thought, okay, so let's minimize this. First of all, let's make the experience of playing this as comfortable as possible. That this be an instrument I don't have to hunch over. Where does it go? What thigh? Where does that? It's called a bout. The upper bouts and the lower bouts. Where do they go? So it was all getting a bit much. So I built this. Basically, I bought the neck from a reputable company that makes excellent quality guitar parts, but I made the body in my shop, which is several things about it besides the fact that it's smaller and it's lighter. It's very, very comfortable. It's the most comfortable guitar playing experience I've ever had. And now I can't enjoy a normal guitar anymore, to be honest. It's, as much as I like looking at it and it has a great tone, this is what I play every day now. I should also mention that this will fit into the overhead bin of a small jet airliner with their the small overhead bins. And the reason that's significant to guitarists who travel with their guitar is, number one, all the travel guitars I've seen are not good quality. They're not intended to be a good guitar. And I think they should be, and they can be. And that's part of what this is all about, that this is a high quality travel guitar. The Musicians Union lobbied the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, to allow a musician to take on board a musical instrument so long as it fits in the overhead bin. That they cannot say you may not bring it on board. Now, the airline can charge you for whatever they want to charge. That's there. But they can't say, no, you can't bring it if the instrument fits in the overhead bin. And this will fit in the overhead bin. Even on a smaller aircraft, it fits. So that's number one. It's portable. It's a solid block of mahogany, 2 inches thick. It's massive. Mahogany is not a particularly heavy. It's a hardwood technically, but not super hard like ebony or rosewood. This is rosewood, and the knobs and bridge are made of ebony. But it's hard enough that it's strong enough to take the tension of a fully tuned up to the E of the upper and lower strings. So it's fully tense and yet rigid as one needs a guitar to be, so it doesn't wobble at all. And I decided to go with a kind of I don't know what to call it even. Like some people call it steampunk. It's like an aesthetic that it's a combination of functional components and some, odd retro looking design elements. So what I did was, instead of burying the pickups into the body, I simply figured out exactly how far away the string needs to be from the electromagnetic pickups, and pick up the vibrations of the string and translate that into electrical impulses to send to the amplifier. So I found that by surface mounting the pickups right directly on the slab of wood that the neck mounts to, the neck only has to be embedded into that body by not just under a quarter of an inch, about 6 millimeters of sinking in, to put the fretboard with the strings at the ideal distance from the pickups. And I also noticed that when the metal strings rest on a wooden bridge instead of a metal bridge, it has a sweeter tone. The metal tends to be a little brash and twangy as a substance to support the strings which are under tension. So I built the bridge out of ebony. Now, if you look at it, you see that bridge is an adjustable, right? Many electric guitars, I think nearly all of them, have some adjustability in where the bridge is and the height of the bridge. So what they call the action on the strings. Well, I play a variety of string instruments, right? Some of them are bowed with a bow, somewhat like a cello. Some of them are plucked with a plectrum. None of them, absolutely none of them, have an adjustable bridge. They're all fixed height, fixed position. You can move it back and forth because it's not tied down by anything. But once the height is set, there's no need for it to go up, being adjusting all the time. Now, perhaps there is some justification for that, where over time things change and you want to change the height of the strings or alter the action. This is not my experience. So the advantage of a fixed height bridge is that you got it's supporting the strings. It doesn't have to be metal, it can be wood. And in this case, I used ebony, which sits directly on the mahogany body. And the tailpiece is a plate of solid brass. The knobs are made out of ebony. The plate that the electronic controls are mounted to is a piece of rosewood. The neck is made of roasted maple with an ebony fingerboard and stainless steel frets. In other words, there's no plastic on this guitar. Everything is wood or metal, no plastic. Why is that important? It is for me. I don't know how other people feel about plastic, but right now, plastic has got a bad reputation. I even make my own wooden picks. So you can see that, out of hardwood. And that's another story altogether. So just to let you understand why I did what I did was, number one, I wanted a comfortable experience. I wanted a guitar that was easy to transport, carry around, sounds great, plays great. And the location of the controls are intuitively located for the way my mind thinks, which is that this pair of controls control this pickup, and this pair of controls controls this pickup, and the switch is right between them where it belongs. So as you're playing, it's first of all, it's right here. You don't have to go all the way down here and find and fiddle and which one is what. It's right there. So let's turn this on. I'd like to, I'll play a little bit. I've got a device on the floor here called a freeze. And what a freeze does is it takes whatever sound you've produced and it makes it continuous. So this is, I plucked some E strings. So you have the note E that's continuous as a drone tone. And look at that listen to that rich tone. hear what a sweet and wonderful tone this thing produces. Perhaps I should, the bridge, and you want a little more twang, mixture of the two, and just the neck pickup. So they have nice tone, easy controls. Now, furthermore, regarding how, why is this such a comfortable thing? You notice this cutaway here. That's the comfortable rest for the wrist and forearm. There's no sharp edge, and you just rest your arm right here, and it cradles it so comfortably. And a similar cutaway is on the back for resting the guitar right on the right thigh, which plunks right down there. I put a piece of fine grit sandpaper in that cutaway for extra friction so it doesn't slide. Put a strap on also, take some of the weight off. So when you're sitting, it's a small body and it's out of the way, and you're playing like this. It's just so comfortable. And trust me, if you play this, you're gonna, why am I playing these big clunky? I don't know. This is something which is has nothing to do with music or guitars. It has to do with the way people get used to something. In other words, it started out with to be a certain way, and it just continues by momentum and habit. And as I said in the beginning, I admit it. I myself get aesthetic pleasure looking at standard guitars, but playing them, it needs to be a better experience, and that's what this provides. In addition to the standard fretboard, in recognition of the fact that many people all over the world are playing music that does not need frets because there's no chords, and they like what we call microtonal inflection or microtonal intonation. Let me switch guitars. So after the success of the first guitar, which uses a standard fretboard, I built another guitar which is not so standard. It's a little bit different because there are no frets. And what that means is that you can not only smoothly do glissandos, slides, you can also play this microtonal music, which some of us like. Not everybody. It's not for everybody. But for example. So that's just to give a quick, rough demonstration. I need to practice, that's for sure. I made some mistakes. It's okay, it's not important. What's important is that we've got this concept, which is a guitar, an electric guitar, needs to have good quality pickups, needs to have good quality strings, needs to be well constructed, needs to be compact, small, and as light as possible. It shouldn't be any bigger than it absolutely has to be, and be easy to play. And this is what we have today. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. If anybody wants to leave some comments on the video clips, I'd greatly appreciate it. I am taking orders. This is not a commercial venture, but if somebody wants to wants one of these, write to me and let me know, and I'll build it for you. Take care.